Hello friends, I'm Kanchan from Edify, and today we'll be discussing about linguistic skill. And as usual, we have a very prominent personality, Mr. Sitesh Srivastava, who has a deep interest in corporate training, and he had been exposed to software development, and of course, he has been in multiple linguistic areas. I mean to say that he has worked in many countries. So without wasting any time, I would like to call upon Mr. Sitesh Srivastava. Welcome to the show, Sitesh. How are you doing today?
Good day, Kanchan. I am really well. Good to see you once again. Hosham Deed, how are you?
I'm fine. And as you know, we are discussing about linguistic skill, and I am very sure that linguistic skill can be acquired by so many parameters, so many work steps. But then I think one thing which is very prominent is that if you want to be a good speaker or a listener or a writer, you have to just practice, and practice. What do you say?
That's right. Like anything else in life, Kanchan, practice of the speech is a great practice, and more or less, it has generally been utilized by the performers, the theatrics, the stage people, and people in the media. But more and more in our lives today, when we all are our own ambassadors, when we all have our publishing tools on the tip of our mouse, we all need to practice this of spoken word, which includes the linguistics as an interesting subject. And that's why I want to bring it forth in our conversation, because me and you both are from the same industry.
Right. So I think that we have discussed about the listening part, and now when it comes to speaking. So I think one major thing about speaking is that you should have a full control on the language which you are using. As we have discussed earlier, that languages are great inventions. And if you have good language at your disposal, then you become a very good communicator. Not only individual communicator, you can become a good public speaker, isn't it?
That's right, Kanchan. That's right. That's absolutely right. I would just like to point out one example of how I first got a hint of it. While I was based in Tokyo, I went to a training school and offered my services as a English teacher to the Japanese people. And I was very confident about the English speaking skills. And I was disappointed to know, Kanchan, that I was asked that they are looking for native English speakers as they are found in America, rather than that took me a few steps back. Then I realized the power of the linguistic understanding. It's not just the language, Kanchan. It's about the culture that is being conveyed through the language of the land. In fact, I would like to coin the term language of the land. Like we say law of the land, I would say language of the land.
Okay.
And therefore, I came back and I realized that yes, I cannot be, or I am not a native English speaker I cannot be a teacher for the English being spoken in America. Probably it would be good for an India kind of English speaking folks. So therefore, that started my journey into linguistics from a scientific perspective. And I have figured out, Kanchan, that there are linguistic careers which are utilized in marketing and publishing equally.
Okay.
People, students who want to practice it, it's a lifelong subject.
Right.
It cannot be completed in one graduation or one PhD.
Yes.
And it is as variety as the plants on this world.
Mhm.
So the careers could be English as a foreign language teacher,
Right.
lexicographer, primary school teacher, copy editor, proofreader, talent agent, teaching assistant. Uh, when we go to the different careers, it would be useful to understand the usage of linguistics into civil services, into digital copywriting, to become an editorial assistant, to have become an information officer in big corporations in the world, marketing executives, public librarian, social researcher, and at the core of it is a translator.
Right.
So it is very, very interesting, and people should actually, especially the school students in the higher grades, the students who have just got into the college, they must uh, try to look into these aspects from their personality, overall personality development.
Right.
What do you say?
Yes, I think linguistic is a very essential part of overall personality development, because if I have seen people who are very smart and they are very educated, the moment they start speaking, the whole impression goes away, because they are not having a power of speech, power of that linguistic skill which is required. Though they are intelligent, but to put forward the idea or the desire or the particular thing which you really want other people to understand, it becomes difficult. So I think this is
Yes.
high time, when we are on the digital platform and we are not meeting physically, one-to-one interaction. So I think nature, God has given time to really enhance our linguistic skill.
That's right, Kanchan. And to bring in the point, to hammer the point today in our conversation, I would like to impress upon the listeners about how many of the French words do we use in our normal English conversation. I have been always surprised by this.
Okay.
That almost 40% of our English conversation is around the French words. For
Oh,
example,
okay.
Kanchan, bouquet,
Right.
show,
Right.
cliche, debacle,
Right.
fiance, genre, rendezvous,
Right.
souvenir. These
Oh, yes.
amazing words we use every day
Right.
without even knowing that they are French words.
Mhm.
Cinema, pavilion, terrace, a la carte,
Mhm.
bon appetit, omelette, picnic. There's many, many more. Similarly, when we come to our own Hindi, we really don't realize that how many Urdu words are being infused
Right.
into Hindi.
Mhm.
Though I am not sure, Kanchan, whether while speaking Urdu, people bring in the Hindi words, but it is very, very interesting to know. And actually, if we start focusing on the linguistics, which is the spoken part of it, I think we will also understand the inherent culture very well.
Mhm.
I mean, you are sitting in Hyderabad and the Hindi of Hyderabad is so amazing, Kanchan.
Right, right. You are very right. And it's very sweet also. And you really feel it's entirely different altogether, the way they speak Hindi. And of course,
That's right.
Hyderabadi language itself is kind of world famous, I guess.
Yes, and it was made famous during our great comedian Mahmood Sahab in the Bollywood days of 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I think similar is about the Bombay language, the spoken language in Mumbai. And therefore, these linguistics are a great way to understand each other. I think we must promote, what do you say, a mix of languages. We cannot come to one standard language, but when we start bringing in the appreciation of other languages too, I think we are bringing in a great bonding threads in a country like India. There are 26 languages.
Yes.
And I don't know, I was reading there are 1,500 spoken dialects in the country.
Right.
850 of them are regularly used.
Yeah, so we are rich in linguistics. And I
Yes,
think I think when we talk about linguistic skill, and if we don't know, we are not good, then I think it's bad, because we are so rich already in this language
exactly.
part.
Exactly. We are so rich. In fact, Kanchan, nowadays I try to speak to some old people from North India, because I'm very conversant in Hindi and English, and I try to find out some old phrases, or what we call muhavre, or the lingo that was used in our small towns, small villages. There is so satisfaction, so sweetness in some of those statements, and I'm sure you also remember some of them.
Yes, I do. Would you like to refer anything? I have one funny thing which is just coming up in my mind. But then, if you have, then after that, I will be telling you. Do you recall any muhavras?
I recall not a standard Hindi muhavra, but you remember in the small cities or villages, the grandmother used to make the rotis on those chulhas, or the village stoves, and they used to give small pieces of the dough to the children who were sitting next to the grandmother, and she used to make birds out of it, or a
Right.
fish out.
Yes, yes.
And there used to be a statement which I read in some book.
Right.
Uh, uh, Mai pakai garar garar pua, हम खाई पुआ न खेलब जुआ.
Oh, okay. So what does it
Ram
mean?
ji ki, what means is that the mother will cook a pua, which is like a standard puri kind of a stuff, which is
Right.
sweet,
Right.
and I will eat it, and I will not delve into something else.
Okay. Okay.
There is something, one more which I remember, is that uh, I mean, there are so many of them, so many just come to the mind. And राम जी के चिरई, राम जी के खेत, खाला चिरई भर भर पेट.
Right.
The sparrow making a bird and saying, this is the bird from Lord Ram from the fields, and please eat it and fill your stomach. So I'm sure in English, in French, in Urdu, there are so many such things, and it is a great that we can revive those in our spoken language, Kanchan.
Right. So I also recall one thing, which maybe I will be sharing some funny thing maybe later. But it was so wonderful speaking to you and learn about the linguistic and the scope of linguistic, which is very high in current scenario. So I think, what is the advice you will be giving to people how to improve their linguistic skill?
So my first advice to the schools and the management in the schools, the teachers, especially the language teachers, they have a great responsibility today to bring out the linguistics and the spoken part from their students. It is important for any student to speak clearly, talk in clear words, think in big diction, their manipulation, and how they present it. It's not a funny thing, because if we try to do the fun in the school days, we are completely shutting down someone. The second aspect, Kanchan, when we reach colleges, especially in our technical colleges, there is, I see, no big focus on language. And therefore, we get great engineers, we get good doctors, but we don't get great communicators.
Right.
How to talk if you don't convey your concepts into the simple way,
Right.
to the lay? I mean, there is and we always hear, I am an engineer, I may not be a great communicator. And this is something that needs to change. And I think this should not be left for the job when we all get into the job. This should start much earlier in life.
Right. Yes, so it was, I think viewers would benefit with the crucial points which we discussed. And as usual, it is wonderful to talk to you today. And we'll be discussing some more great subjects in coming episodes. Till then, bye-bye, take care.
Thank you, Kanchan. Thank you.